Yay! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 346. Tonight, Kim and I get to do one of the episodes that we really have been loving doing over the last couple of years, I think now. We're doing a viewer mail and inspiration episode where we get to share your stories from the crew, from the viewers and subscribers of the channel. So it's one of our favorite things to do. Tonight is going to be a lot of fun. Welcome, everyone, to Ginger Runner Live 346.
You got there.
The show begins now.
Ginger Runner.
Yay! What is up, everyone? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 346. Thank you for spending a little bit of your busy Mondays with us.
There's a couple people in the chat room talking about the time change.
That is the big one that's affected us a little bit today.
The time change.
The time change caught us off guard yesterday and has sort of carried over into today. I've been up since super early this morning trying to get a bunch of stuff done around the house and things like that. And I'm exhausted.
I think you can hold it together for the fine people coming to spend their Monday afternoon with us.
I mean, this is like Ginger Runner Live and our daily live stream, Daily Brew, is our highlight of the day. So
didn't we go make you a protein shake and grab you a gel?
Oh, no, we'll wait for after. It's a recovery.
Okay.
But we look forward to this every single day, you know, being able to sit down and chat with the community and stuff like that. Tonight is no different. We've basically been building up anticipation for the show. So here we are. Welcome to episode 346 of Ginger Runner Live. Tonight is one of the types of episodes that Kim and I just have been loving doing over the last couple of years, as I mentioned there in the pre-show. Our viewer mail and inspiration episodes, where we get to share some stories from you, our audience, our viewers, our GR crew.
I also think tonight that we're going to catch you up a little bit with what's happening with us right now as well.
Yeah, we're going to try to share some of our sort of current stories, things that we've been talking about regularly on Daily Brew. However, we haven't really shared on Ginger Runner Live. So we're going to kind of, I guess, shoehorn ourselves also into the viewer mail and inspiration stories, hopefully to just kind of give you guys some perspective and maybe a little bit of hope. If you are watching now live or watching the archive version or anything like that, you can always submit your stories, and they can be, you know, stories of triumph or overcoming hardship or anything like that in regards to running. Maybe you had a big race that you trained for and you crushed it. Or maybe you set yourself a DIY goal or a personal goal and you accomplished that. Or, you know, it doesn't have to be accomplishing something big. It could just be a story that you want to share. So tonight we have a handful of those that we're going to try to get through. But if you would like to share yours, feel free to email it during this show. All you got to do is submit your story. To submit your story is to email thegingerrunner@gmail.com with the subject viewer mail, and it will be sorted into our inbox here, and we'll be able to sort through those and hopefully share them on air. So it's not just myself, it's also Kim.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome, everyone. If you're new, hi. We are live. You can ask us questions in the chat room. If you have a short story to share, you can also do that there. It's kind of more of a relaxed show tonight. So yeah, if you have questions or comments for either of us, just pop them into the chat room.
Yeah, we love these episodes because they sort of take, I don't know, they take that sort of interview aspect out of it and just allow us to sort of share. And I always leave the viewer mail episodes a little bit more inspired. And anytime I get a chance to sort of hear and read stories that are coming from the viewers and from the community, it does nothing but inspire me.
Yeah.
There's so many amazing runners with amazing stories from around the world that either tune into our weekly live shows or watch the archives or watch the movies or the reviews or whatever. Everyone has their own unique story. So we love to share some of them on these episodes that we don't do nearly often enough. Before we dive into the show, of course, we have some individuals that we like to thank at the top of every Ginger Runner Live episode. That is our GR crew. You can join the GR crew by heading on over to patreon.com/thegingerrunner, and you can be a part of the crew. There's a Discord server. We, as I mentioned already, we go live every single day. We have a show called Daily Brew where we sit down, we live stream, we talk about running, life, stories, all that sort of stuff. I think the big conversation from this we had all sorts of conversations from this last weekend. It's a lot of fun. We've got nearly 300 episodes that you can go catch up on. We started doing that live streaming every day at the beginning of the pandemic. So we'd love to have you join us there. 2 individuals in particular at the top tier we like to shout out at the beginning of every Ginger Runner Live episode. Rick Bjarnison. And Rick Bjarnison's an ultra runner out of Canada and owns a company called cheekymonkeymedia.ca. They're a web design company, a web maintenance company. They designed the gingerrunner.com website, and love to have Rick on board. He's a fantastic human and has been a supporter for a long time. And finally, Brian Sands. Brian Sands is, again, an inspiration in and of himself. He has this amazing running journey. He's lost over 100 pounds, ran his first marathon, his first ultra, is currently training for a 200-plus mile event. So Brian is just a true inspiration and sort of what kicked off this viewer mail and inspiration episode that we do here now with Ginger Runner Live. Just like learning his story and learning so many stories from the crew members, it was our opportunity to share some of those. So those who maybe aren't familiar with the stories can hear them, learn from them, love them, and get inspired by them and create their own. So thank you, individual. If you hear Gus snoring in the background, that is because Gus is snoring in the background. I love that little
He's
dude.
very relaxed right now. He is very relaxed.
So I'm thinking we maybe start with some viewer mail. And again, if you would like to submit your own, you can just email or drop into the chat. Kim's in the chat. And we can also answer any questions and stuff like that. Let's start. Diving on it.
Dive on in.
This one comes to us from Mike. Ethan, Kim, and Gus. I've been following you on YouTube for years. Besides the fact you create amazing content, you are inspirational and amazing. I am 52 and was very active in my younger days, but I was also very rough on my body. I have lots of permanent damage in my feet, hips, back, and shoulders. That said, sitting still for me has never been an option. A few months ago, I decided it was time to start running again. Between your videos and my new Theragun, nice. I've been able to get myself back up to 5 miles at about a 10:20 pace. Nothing earth-shattering, but I feel great, and I'm mentally in a much better place. I doubt I'll ever be a long-distance runner, but your inspiration will keep me going. I'm on the slow journey to 10 miles right now. Take care and keep being great. Thanks, Mike. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. And I think a lot of us are really hard on ourselves of like, oh, I'm only at, a 10-20 pace. And while that isn't fast, I think it's important to remind ourselves that we are where we are on that given day. Mm-hmm. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to kind of meet yourself where you are and to do our best to not be overcritical at comparison and just accept and be proud of ourselves for where we are on that day.
And Mike, you mentioned in your email 52. I am 52 and was very active in my younger days. You're still young.
In your younger days.
Yeah, you're still in your younger days. Don't let a number, determine where we are in our journey. One thing that I think we've learned from David Roach, having David Roach on the show, and so many other different inspiring athletes, is that, an age is, it's so weird to say this because, I remember when I was younger too, I'd be like, who says age is just a number? But truly, age is just a number. I still feel like I'm in my 20s.
Oh, you're not?
Not yet. I'm not there yet. I'm younger than that. 52, you're still young. And I love hearing that you're getting back into it, getting back into running and pushing yourself and stuff like that, Mike. So keep us posted.
Keep us posted on your goal to the 10 mile distance, which is also not a tiny goal either.
No.
10 miles is awesome. And just really quick, I mentioned it. I think I might have mentioned it on last week's Ginger Runner Live, but just to put this in perspective as well, my mom, who would be super embarrassed that I'm talking about her right now.
It's a great story, though.
She's in her 60s and has never been a runner, but was an athlete in her younger days, played softball, fastball, curling, all sorts of things. And then just kind of was not active for many, many years. And recently she just decided, I just want to take charge of how I'm feeling mentally and physically. And so she probably pulled off the clothes that was hanging on the treadmill downstairs. And she started walking again. Mm-hmm. And now she's doing 2 a days almost every day on her treadmill.
I think she's logging more miles than we are.
I think so too. And it's really neat for me to watch because, you know, she'll like, oh, I only got like however many miles, or I only went for however many minutes, which is nothing compared to you and Ethan. But it's everybody's individual accomplishments, I think, it's worth celebrating. It's worth being proud of. And I'm super proud of my mom. It's, you know, it's never too late, I think.
Your mom is kicking ass.
Never too late.
Yeah.
And it's really neat to follow journeys like yours, Mike, and like my mom's. And I don't know, I think it's special. I think it's fun to share that.
I mean, your mom's story alone is, we should have a viewer mail from your mom. Just like, hey, Mom, can you write us an email? Because it really is amazing to hear the story where she's just kind of casually talking about being on the treadmill for an hour or two or a couple times a day. And you just kind of wait. You were
what were you doing?
Yeah, what were you? You were on the treadmill for how long? You watched what movie while you were on the treadmill? You know, it's pretty awesome. And someone in the chat room here live was sort of mentioning that 10:20 is fast to someone else. Rami mentions that. And I think it's a constant reminder that, you know, someone else's slow is someone else's fast, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And like everyone's speed is someone else's speed, right? So your 10:20 might be someone else's like, whoa, this crazy fast. So just putting it all into perspective, I think, is super helpful. It's so easy to compare. It's so easy to compare, and it's not always the best thing to do because your own individual journey is just that important. The next email come to us from, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, Gavrilos Papadopoulos from Greece, which is super cool. Hi, Ethan and Kim. I am Gabriel. That's much easier to pronounce. Should have just read ahead there. I am Gabriel from Greece, and the story I want to tell you is about my first Athens Authentic Marathon in 2015. So we're going to go back a little bit in time here. I was preparing for 4 months and 3 weeks before the race. I had an injury under the arch of my left foot because of the mileage and because of my flat foot condition. I went to the doctor, and he told me that I must not run. Of course, I told him that he can chop my foot off, and I will run with one foot because there was no way that I wasn't going to run. So he gave me a cortisone shot and another one 4 days before the race, no running in between. So I was feeling good in the morning of the race, no pain whatsoever, but marathon, and especially the authentic one with 20K of uphill, had other plans. On the 22K, I felt the pain again. I stopped by the emergency guys and they put a cold cream on my feet. That lasted for about 2K. On the 24th, pain again. I took the decision to continue because there was no way to stop every 2K for a cream. I reached the 32nd kilometer and I couldn't feel anything below my waist. Everything was numb. On the 36th, I was feeling dizzy and my vision started to be blurred. I hit the wall. However, the adrenaline and the will to finish was so strong that it kept me going. I finished eventually in 4 hours and 50 minutes and was so exhausted that I couldn't recognize my family that was yelling at me. Fortunately, that was the case only on my first marathon. The others went fine.
I love it.
Gabriel, I think, like, what I love about the story is because I just find myself going, yeah. I think this is a story that everyone can relate to with their first marathon.
Whether it's an injury or just maybe mistakes or the learning curve.
Yes.
Yeah.
The getting to a certain kilometer and feeling your body fight you. And I mean, hitting the, like describing feeling dizzy, vision starting to blur, hitting the wall, but yet adrenaline is still there going, don't quit, but I want to quit. And just getting to that finish line. I think it's a story that we can all relate to, Gabriel. Congratulations. So that was 2015.
And it sounds like there's been many more.
Many more since. I am curious, Gabriel, if you wanted to, maybe for next viewer mail or something, but update us on what you have done since, because I imagine it's probably a lot. The others went fine, winky face is how they ended the email. So it's just kind of like
they went fine.
Cliffhanger?
Like all of our races. They go fine, but maybe there's some ducking between cars in the San Francisco Marathon.
I was just going to ask about your first marathon because I'm super curious if you remember any of it or if it was all at this point like blocked out.
Sorry,
Remember
I was a little distracted.
Did you block them? I can do it. Tell me about your first marathon.
My first marathon? Which one was my first marathon? Oh,
San
the Big
Francisco?
Sur. No, it was Big Sur. I was like, what was my first marathon? My first full like marathon was the Big Sur Marathon, which was also our friend Justin.
That was your first marathon? I thought it was a San Francisco. Was it the Big Sur?
Yeah.
Talk about a tough first marathon. Like that has close to 3,000 feet of vert, 3,500 or something like that.
I'm trying to remember if I was initially supposed to be doing the Portland Marathon as my first. I can't remember because there was a time where I was signed up for the Portland Marathon and I ended up not being able to do it. And I can't remember what, I was probably injured or something like that. But the Big Sur Marathon was my first marathon, and it went fine. It went better than I think the San Francisco one that is sitting in both of our minds.
Right. That's the only one that I can really remember. And I think it was mostly because of the puking. Not for me.
No, for me.
Yeah, for you.
That marathon was like, I felt great for the first half. And I actually think that was a marathon that I met Bob, a GR crew member, Bob.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt great during the first bit. And then all of a sudden, this thing just turned south. And I remember walking through the Golden Gate Park, right? Golden Gate Park. Yeah, Golden Gate Park. And I phoned my mom. I think I probably phoned, or maybe you were still running. So, because you would have been a little ways ahead of me. But I remember phoning my mom, just being like, I'm so sick. I don't know if I can do this. But if I stop now, then I'm stuck in the park.
Right.
And then what?
Basically, I think that's the biggest problem that I've had to solve during a marathon. I'm sure you have as well, is the logistics of like, okay, I want to quit, or I'm done.
But then like, how do I get out of here?
How do I actually get out of here?
There was a couple comments I wanted to read in regards to Mike's the first viewer mail that we read, and also my mom's story. Darling Runner PT says, because of this channel, I have learned to not put limits on yourself due to age or anything else. Keep working on what you want to do. And Bettina also says, that's so great to keep moving as we get older. So important for good aging too. I think ages of 60, 70, 80 plus are the new 30, 40, and 50 plus.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that too. I absolutely love that. I was going to say that my first marathon, the Portland Marathon, I remember,
that was like
a long time ago. But I do remember everything that like Gabriel was saying there. I just remember the exact same thing happening to me. I remember getting to a certain mile and just going, I've never felt like this. I feel terrible. Everything feels numb and like tingly, and like nausea comes instantly. And you're just like, oh, I want to continue to push. And you're like, what's the point? There's just so many things that go through your head at that point.
Yeah. And also it feels like you might be encountering those things for the first time, or feeling that amount of discomfort for the first time. You're kind of like, oh, can I handle this? Can I push through this? Is anybody else around me feeling that way? Because I know the few times that I've run road marathons, it almost felt like I was the only one suffering.
Right.
But I'm sure half of the other people around me.
You were the only one. The next email comes to us from Aaron. Aaron says, hey, Ethan and Kim, I have a story from the Woodlands Marathon that is pretty incredible. Chef Mark Quinones from Albuquerque.
I thought you said Alberta.
I almost did.
Close.
From Albuquerque, New Mexico, ran most of the race with me. We both struggled with injury. Mine was in the weeks leading up to the race, but his came on all at once. We battled through the last 10 to 12 miles together side by side, walking and jogging as much as possible to try to finish. No matter what, we both agreed not to let each other quit. For him, he was in noticeable pain and could barely keep moving forward, but his persistence and mental determination kept him moving. He's been through so much in recent weeks and months, so just the fact that he was out there attempting a full marathon on the hand that life dealt him recently was incredible. We both crossed the finish line over an hour later than we expected to, but it wouldn't have been possible without the help of each other. There's obviously a lot more details, but I'm not sure how much he would want to be told. here's a few photos. And Aaron attached a few photos, which I didn't bring into the show here. But Aaron sharing that story about him and Chef Mark Quinones from Albuquerque is pretty damn awesome. So congratulations, Aaron, on getting it done. And I'm sure that's an experience that you'll hold on to for a long time too. And remember, I feel like the moments where you're running, this happens a lot on ultras, where you're running with someone else, usually like a group of people or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you form an immediate bond with that other group or with that group of other people. And if you can hang on and hang out with each other for the entire duration of the run, like you're supporting one another and pushing one another. And when things start getting really bad, the other people are there to support you. And then when things get bad for them, you're there to support them.
Yeah, it's kind of the feeling of you're not alone in this. And I think that's what makes some race finishes special. I've had that experience in Lake Sonoma. I think we've talked about it before. There was a woman who was a very seasoned ultra runner, and her and I were kind of leapfrogging in one of the last hills where I saw you because you were filming a little bit that day. Mm-hmm. I was suffering and she was behind me. I was like, just go ahead. Like, I can't, I'm not moving fast. Just go ahead.
Right.
And she was, I feel like I'll remember this forever, but she was like, no, I'm not going ahead of you. We are finishing this thing together. Like, we've been together leapfrogging for the last however many miles. Like, get going, essentially.
Yep.
And it was a really special moment.
I remember that. Lake Sonoma, I remember being towards the finish line and someone, I think a group that you were running with at the time, a woman came by and she's like, Kim is right behind us. Like, we're all together. And it was just this cool thing. Like, you had formed a bond with this other group of people and you were all there to support one another and everything like that. It's one of my favorite parts and one of the biggest things I miss from ultra races.
Rachel in the chat room says, Portland's my first marathon too. It actually went okay, but when I did it again in 2016, not the case. And Ryan Good also says Portland was my first marathon.
Portland, I've done it twice. The first time was, your first marathon is always a special one. There's always going to be pain, but you'll get it done, right? And I remember that one fondly, but it's so distant. And there's been so many races since that I remember it being special, but not a lot of specifics. But I do remember going back and running it again with friends and family and everything like that. So it was much more special the second time. Like, the second time, I had people around me that meant a lot to me. And so to finish at that point, like my parents too, running their first 10K it was incredibly special. So that race will always have a special place in my heart. The next email comes to us from Laura. Laura says, good morning. I was just checking my emails before I head out for Run Streak Day number 500.
Dang.
Which is amazing. With International Women's Day last Monday, the messages from inspiring women trickled to me all week long. And my biggest takeaway was to be proud of what we've accomplished and shout it from the rooftops. I would love if you could share this with your GR community. I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah.
Do that.
Can you not do it?
I can't. It's not letting me.
All right. There we go. Boom. Sorry. I had... I took a breath to read, and then I forgot to take another breath. So I'm so sorry, Laura, for forgetting to breathe during the first 3 sentences. Okay. Shout it from the rooftops. I would love if you could share this with our GR community. I don't participate nearly as much as I'd like with the crew as I juggle my own business, 5 kids, and squeezing in my runs. You see, not only have I ran every day for 500 days, I am training and balancing everything as best as I can because I'm on a mission to run 50 ultra marathons before I'm 50. And race director of Survivor Fest running event to raise awareness and funds for our local sexual assault center, Saffron Center. As the mom of 5 and survivor of sexual violence, I know our local sexual assault center's education program on sexual violence is power and has the potential to positively change the world for the next generation. I completed the Frozen Ass 50 for Ultra number 35 virtually last month in Calgary on Family Day weekend. It was really cold, -33. And what I don't know if that's Celsius or Fahrenheit.
I'm guessing Celsius.
I ran it virtually and solo to follow all the local health restrictions. did I ever miss running, my running family and volunteers that always make the races so special. I got to get my butt out the door, so I squeeze in my run before I jump into mom duty. Thanks to you both for everything you and our community does around the world. I sure wouldn't be who I am today without my running family. Big squishy hugs to everyone out there. Wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself a hug from me. Love you all and see you tonight. Even if I have to sneak to a quiet closet. Laura. This is amazing, Laura. This is amazing. I love on a mission to run 50 ultramarathons before I'm 50. Run streak day 500. Obviously for a fantastic cause as well. And completing the Frozen S50 for ultra number 35 virtually last month in Calgary in negative 33 degree temperatures.
That's cold.
Is amazing. And alone, solo. Laura. Well freaking done. Laura, please keep us posted. This is one of those journeys that I want to stay kind of close to and see how much you're just crushing it over and over and over again. I guess my question to you, Laura, is how often are you planning on running the ultras? Are they going to be every couple of months, every year, every week? Keep us posted on that. And we're so excited to see that you are just crushing it and such an amazing member of the community. So thank you, Laura, for all that you do and for being a mom and just being awesome. So this is super cool. Super stoked.
Since Laura mentions run streaking, maybe that's a good lead in to like.
That's why I saved it. That's why I saved it for the transition moment.
You're a professional.
Yeah. So we have other viewer mail that we're not probably going to read tonight, but if you would like to share your story, please do. Of course, we can read it on a future episode.
Yeah, you can send them in anytime you like. Even if we're not promoting that we're doing a viewer mail, you can send them in anytime as long as the subject line is viewer mail. That will allow us to actually find it. So,
but I think the transition is important because one thing that we both wanted to talk a little bit about personal stories that maybe will inspire, or at least help people get through specific things. But I wanted to shout out Kim. We've talked a bit about this on Daily Brew. We talk about it almost every day on Daily Brew, but we haven't really talked about it on Ginger Runner Live. Kim, as of last Friday, reached a pretty big milestone. Speaking of run streaking, you were on you currently are still on a yoga streak, and Friday you reached your 365 days of yoga.
Yeah. So for people who are regular Daily Brewers, you've heard the story already, but we thought it was worthwhile sharing a little bit of what was happening with us here. Also, for those of you who are not on Daily Brew, last year, obviously, when the pandemic hit March, I kind of felt like I was losing control over a lot of different aspects of life, which I'm sure a lot of you felt that as well. It was also starting to feel like we might be losing running or the ability to go to the trails to run.
Yeah.
So to help with my anxieties around what was happening with the pandemic, I decided to start doing at-home yoga. So I tried doing yoga with Adrian, started in March, and picked up one of the 30 days of yoga, and was just looking at it as I just need time. I need time away from my phone. I need time where I'm not scrolling the news. I need time that I know I can set aside for myself. And that was one of the simplest things that I could do at that point. So yeah, I wasn't looking at it at that point of like, I'm going to do yoga every day for a year.
Right.
It was more of like, I just need to get something that I have a little bit of control over during this crazy time where it felt like the sky was falling.
I mean, when you started, I didn't start at the same time Kim did. You sort of took it on yourself. Like I need to have control over something. And I was basically watching from the other room, like every day Kim would dedicate, 30 to 45 minutes a day to roll out the mat, show up to yoga and use, YouTube videos or whatever to do the practice. And I ended up catching on a couple months into it. I was like, you know what? You're loving it. And I need something. I found myself hitting that same place of like, I have nothing consistent. There's so little in our lives that we are in control of right now. It's when we started doing daily live streams with Daily Brew, but it was like I needed that like physical output, like that thing whether it was running or cycling or whatever every day, but yoga was sort of this transition where you could go for your run, you could go for your ride, and you could come home, you could still do a yoga practice. So I started following suit with you, Pete. You inspired me to do it because I saw you having so much fun and so much control. So now 365 days into your streak journey, are you going to continue?
No.
Do you have a goal in mind?
I don't have a goal in mind, and I don't want to put any pressure on myself to be like, oh, Laura's hitting day 500 of her run streak. I don't want to put the pressure on myself to be like, oh, you need to hit day 400 or you need to hit day 500. I want to keep doing it daily as long as it still feels like it's serving me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it is. And it's just part of, for both of us now, because you've been doing it almost as long, it's just part of our day now.
Yeah. It's funny how it has become, I don't want to call it a habit, but part of the routine.
Yeah.
Like we can't go to bed without doing something, even if it's a 10-minute meditative yoga or something like that. So along the lines of the run streak, I needed to take a moment to recognize your amazing accomplishment. I think we've had some amazing guests on the show who are in the midst of run streaking and have talked about it with us in the past. And it's kind of one of those, like, we've always just been, man, there's no way I could run a mile every day or this sort of thing every day. And it doesn't have to be that. Like, I guess what you sort of discovered is that it doesn't have to be running. It doesn't have to be anything in particular, but it could be yoga. It could be meditating. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And consistency doesn't mean, and this is something that we just discussed on Daily Brew too, is like consistency doesn't necessarily mean every day. It could mean twice a week. It could be once a week. It could be once a month. But staying consistent and having that bit of routine has really, really helped. And you are awesome. 365.
Thanks.
Well, at this point, now you're well over a year. So congratulations to Kim.
Thanks. And I'm still enjoying it. I don't anticipate myself dropping off anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to allow myself the grace of not applying the pressure of you need to do this.
Right.
So
I will hopefully follow suit with a year. I'm approaching it.
Yeah, I think we need to dig in and see what
date actually.
Yeah, when you
started.
But I think you're not that far behind me at all.
I think it's at least
maybe a month or two.
Maybe a month and a half.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. We'll dig in. We'll see if we can actually find the day that I did my first yoga practice. Because I'm super curious. I'd be super curious to that. But we are also approaching the 1 year of doing Daily Brew, which is our daily show. That was a thing that we never thought we would be doing consistently every single day. But that's also a pretty cool streak, I guess you could call it. The other thing I kind of wanted to mention tonight, as far as stories and things like that, is I've talked a bit about this, but I have an injury, and I think a lot of people can relate. So
yeah, and I think talking about injury fits well into viewer mail days.
Always, because I saw a bit of light for the first time yesterday, and it was a long time before I saw light, and I saw a little bit of it yesterday. So that's why I want to talk about it very briefly here at the end of the show. Is for the last 6-7 or so weeks, basically I've been dealing with this weird calf issue. So full on calf pull. It happened in the midst of a long run that was absolutely typical, totally normal, running on a Friday, like long run. I had like a 10 or 12 miles. We've been super consistent with our running. So it basically came out of nowhere. About mile 8, I felt like the pull in your calf, and I just kept running thinking, oh, maybe it's just cold weather or something. And by the end of the run, I was literally hobbling back to the car, walking, really limping. It was extremely painful. And I just chalked it up to being some weird calf strain that would take 3 days, 4 days. I've had them in the past, running in weird shoes or something, and then it would be back to normal.
Because you cycle through many different pairs of shoes.
Yes.
I will say, when I saw you that day, you seemed a little rougher than like the calf pull day.
Oh, at the end?
Yeah. Like a little bit like, oh, maybe this might be a thing.
Yeah. And it was a thing. So as with many injuries, I'm sure many people can relate to this, is you feel the injury, you get upset, and you start to sort of plan like, okay, well, this is probably a 3 to 4 day injury. Worst case, it's a week. I probably can't run, do this. Maybe I'll do this instead. So my brain started doing that. It was really painful for the first couple of days, and I took a lot of time away from running those days. I didn't do anything. I tried hiking a couple days later, and it was still like pretty painful. Over the next couple of weeks, I felt less pain and sort of felt the need to run. I didn't want to lose any fitness for that weird reason. There's like, oh, I'm going to be so unfit in 5 days. And every time I did a little bit extra mileage, it would re-injure the calf. And so basically it would go for a week, build back up and be like, oh, I'm almost there. And then it would be bad again. And I'd have to take another week off. And basically this was a pattern that just went on and on for about 7 weeks now. So the last 2.5, 3 weeks was really where I was like, nope, we're starting from scratch. I'm not going to do anything that triggers it. I'm going to hold, I'm going to pull back if I feel it, doing any sort of weird sensation. And I've been really patient. And it's been the hardest fucking thing to do is hold back from doing anything remotely like running related. It's been tough.
I applaud you though, because you have been super diligent with being smart about it. It's so easy to just like, I'm just going to run through it or I'll figure it out.
And Rachel even mentioned like the bargaining phase of injury. And I went through weeks of this. Like, it feels okay. Maybe I'll just do a little bit of this.
Yeah.
And then see where it's at. And then maybe I'll push a little bit tomorrow. So on Friday, I had 3 minutes of running. I ran for 3 minutes. And it was one of those like, oh, it feels great. After 3 minutes, it feels great. But it was all I could do to keep from running for 4. So like, it was all I could do. So I've been really trying to be diligent about it. I feel like we've had so many injuries in our lives that this is the first time I've actually, well, it took me a couple weeks to get there, but actually went, stop, wait, patience, and wait. The
other thing too is like our weather here is just starting to get nice. And that makes it harder.
The weather is amazing. And that's what sucks is because when you have an injury, all you want to do is be out there and shredding like everyone else is.
And Lucas says, holding back is so hard. Congrats, Ethan. And Eric says, how do you stay so disciplined and not wanting to push it a little?
I think for me right now, this is a phase of me that I've never encountered before, which is patience. And I think it's because of past injuries and past friends or athletes who we have on the show who have dealt with an injury that takes weeks, months, years to find remedy. So for me, it's full on learning from those experiences and reading the stories that we read on viewer mail episodes is always in my brain of like, don't push because you don't want it to turn into that 6-month injury that you're going to be telling stories about in a couple of years. Like you want to be back to running sooner than later. The only way to do that is to just stop.
You want to be telling a story about how you're a patient and got to like get back to like full on running.
Yes.
Rather than I did this and then I did this and then I did this and then I did this.
Exactly.
And Vivian says, guessing yoga has helped with the patience? Maybe.
Ooh, maybe. I was going to say, I thought that was going to be maybe yoga's helping with the injury. And I was going to say, I don't actually know. But with the patience, yes. Oh, this happened last night with yoga where I was getting really energetic about some different projects and stuff that we're working on right now. This is super late at night. I'm like, oh, I got to do this and got to do that. And Kim's like, we got to do yoga. And I was like, I don't want to do yoga. I got to do this and that. She's like, let's just join me. And I joined, and it was such an immediate, I needed that second to sort of step back. So let Kim's story of triumph, her streaking of more than a year of yoga, perhaps that might inspire someone to just pick up something. It doesn't have to be yoga. It doesn't have to be running. It doesn't have to be anything.
It can be reading. It can be cooking. It can be cross-stitching. I don't know. I was thinking knitting and somehow like cross-stitching.
Yeah, cross-stitching, knitting. Maybe there's something that you want to add to your life that maybe can be a consistent thing that you can do day after day, or maybe every week or something like that. It has added a lot to your life and mine.
Yeah, it's an additional little bit of self-care that I can give myself and feel like really good about it.
Yes. And at my injury story, which is, again, this is still evolving. I'm really cautious about saying that I'm on the other side of it because this has been a rough couple of months. every time I think I'm on the other side, it's like, nope.
Just kidding.
So I'm in the midst of this like positive light at the end of the tunnel moment with it. So I am hoping that it continues to be progress. I will continue to report back on it. But I tweeted about this last night in regards to the run because yesterday I got 5 minutes together. It was great, 5 minutes. If you are going through an injury right now, or if you're dealing with anything like this that is being treated as a setback, or you've had to step away from running or something that you're really passionate about, stay diligent, stay focused, and don't overdo it or push back too quickly. Be patient with it. It's worth it for these little moments of lightness. Light at the end of the tunnel will be there, and we'll get through it. So that's where I'm at right now with this thing, and I thought it would make a good sort of end of our viewer mail episode.
I'm super proud of you. I just want to add that.
I'm proud of you too. We're going to wrap up the main show here, move right into our after show with our GR crew. If you'd like to join us for our after show, we'd love to have you. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/thegingerrunner. You can join us for all of our after shows, and you can join us for our daily live streams, Daily Brew. We talk about it a lot. It's because it means a lot to us, and it's been just an incredible community builder, a lot of fun. So we would love to see you over there. Again, patreon.com/thegingerrunner. Do we have a GR crew member of the week?
Oh, I do have a GR crew member. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. So just a reminder that at the end of every Ginger Runner Live, we would like to recognize a member of the community who goes above and beyond. Viewer mails are our favorite because we get to actually highlight a number of GR crew members. But we like to call it our GR crew member of the week, where we get to recognize one individual that goes above and beyond. Kim, take it away.
This week's GR crew member of the week, I think I've actually acknowledged this person before, if I remember correctly. But this week's GR crew member of the week is Deb Hamberlin. And I want to shout out Deb because Deb is, she's an important part of our community and embraces everything. And she's just an incredible runner. But Deb is participating in March Madness. If you don't know what March Madness is, head on over to Discord. You'll find all about it. And Deb just was inspired by March Madness and just decided to bust out a marathon. Just a casual marathon.
Deb has been an amazing member of the community, and she, within this March Madness, which again is this incredible GR crew event that's taken place over on Discord and with the GR crew community, Deb sort of took it upon herself to I'm having fun. Let's have some more fun. So she went around a marathon. No big deal.
I think Deb was on your original team.
Yes.
And yeah, we were looking at Deb's, Deb was just crushing it.
Congratulations, Deb. You are our GR crew member of the week. Happy to have you there. And that's it for today's show. Everybody, thank you for joining us for Ginger Runner Live, episode number 346. Is that what it is? 346?
46, yeah.
We'll see you in the after show for GR crew. Otherwise, we'll see you next week for more fun. Get out there, train hard, race harder, and party the hardest. I know I am. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye.
Ginger